Hey guys, we're back, and in this video we are going to divide rational functions, but I just wanted to pause here from the last video because it did not get to finish. So your answer for the last video is right here. Okay, so you should have x times x minus 8 over 2 times x plus 3 times x plus 8 with the excluded values of -3, -5, and -8. All right, let's jump to dividing. So here we go. Just as multiplying rational expressions is similar to multiplying fractions, dividing rational expressions is similar to dividing fractions. We simply multiply by the reciprocal. So basically, guys, we're multiplying rational expressions again. So we're going to do exactly what we did. However, we are going to flip the second fraction. One other thing that's different is that we have to consider any factor that has ever been in the denominator when identifying excluded values. So that has ever been in the denominator. So we have to consider this because we are doing a reciprocal. And you'll see what I'm talking about after we see a couple examples. So letter A is x plus 7 quantity squared divided by x squared divided by x squared plus 9x plus 14 over x squared plus x minus 2. So what I would suggest doing first would be to factor everything or write everything in factored form. For this x plus 7 quantity squared, I would suggest expanding it out to x plus 7 times x plus 7. And then x squared I would write as x times x. We're going to leave this as division for a second while we factor. The numerator here, x squared plus 9x plus 14, if we factor that, we know that 2 and 7 multiply to 14 and add to 9. So that would be x plus 2 times x plus 7. And then I have on the bottom x squared plus x minus 2. So what multiplies a -2 and adds to a +1? That'd be a +2 and a -1. So x plus 2 times x minus 1. Now, I am going to change this to multiplying by the reciprocal. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so the first fraction is going to stay. So leave everything we have there. X plus 7 times x plus 7 over x times x. You are going to change this to multiplication, and then you are going to take the reciprocal of your second fraction. So now you have x plus 1 times x minus 1 on top, and x plus 2 times x plus 7 on bottom. We're going to do our excluded values right now, understanding that in the original problem, our denominators were these expressions, but after we did the reciprocal of the second expression, our numerator that was in the first one is now our denominator. So actually what we do for excluded values is look at the entire second fraction, numerator and denominator, but still only the denominator in the first fraction. So in the first fraction, I have just these two factors of x, and the only thing that would make x equals 0 would be 0. So we know x cannot equal 0. In the second fraction, I have x plus 2 and x minus 1, so in the original. So that would be a -2 and a +1, which we cannot equal. And now looking here, my new denominator, that'd be x plus 2, so that's -2, we've already covered that, but then x plus 7 also adds in that we cannot equal -7. So those are all our excluded values. Now we can go ahead and start simplifying, so crossing out anything that is uncommon in the numerators and denominators. So I can see right off the bat that I have an x plus 7 that can cancel with this x plus 7. These x plus 2's can also cancel. And that's all I have. So left in the numerator, I have x plus 7 times x minus 1 In the denominator, I have x times x, but just write that back as x squared. And that's such that x cannot equal 0, -2, 1, and -7. All right, let's try letter B. So I have 6x divided by 3x minus 30. So you're going to factor what you can. This 6 I could divide into 3 times 2, and that's times x. 3x minus 30 has a common factor of 3, so I can take a 3 out, and I'm left with x minus 10. Divided by, in my second fraction, I have 9x squared minus 27x minus 36. I notice that each of these coefficients is divisible by 9. So I should bring a 9 out, and that leaves me with x squared minus 3x minus 4. And I would continue factoring this part, so I still have the 9 out front, but this would factor what multiplies to -4 and adds to -3 would be a -4 and a +1. So x minus 4 times x plus 1. So here I have x squared minus 10x. I can bring out an x, and I still have x minus 10 left over. All right, now I'm going to do my flipping around. So I have 3 times 2 times x over 3 times x minus 10. Change this to multiplication. Now my numerator is x times x minus 10, and my denominator is 9 times x minus 4 times x plus 1. Okay, let's talk about excluded values. So in our original, we had these denominators, and now we have this denominator. In the first denominator right here, x minus 10 is my only variable factor, so that gives me the excluded value of positive 10. X cannot equal positive 10. In my second denominator, I have x and x minus 10. Well, that shows up again. So I've already covered 10, but this also brings me the excluded value of 0. Now looking at my third one, the only variable factors I have are x minus 4 and x plus 1, which give me the excluded values of 4 and -1. All right, let's cancel out anything that we can. Notice I have a 3, and top and bottom I can cancel. My x minus 10, and top and bottom I can cancel. And I think that's it. So in my numerator, I have left 2 times x, so I'm going to write that as 2x squared. And in my denominator, I still have 9 times x minus 4 times x plus 1. And that's all you'll have, and your excluded values. All right, we'll finish the rest in class.